Hey, this is a demo of Roam-Excalidraw MVP version 0.3, and let me start by a reminder. The way you install Excalidraw into Roam is you create a Roam.js block and you nest this script under that and you press yes, I know what I'm doing. With that, Excalidraw is installed. You initiate Excalidraw by calling up the template Excalidraw, and if I press enter on this, I'll see the splash screen. And let me start with demonstrating how the nested text works. So if I now press tab, you can see that automatically two blocks were created and my nested tab was moved under there. Let me just simply create a numbered list here. So this is going to be 1, 2, this is maybe going to be 2.1, 2.2, this is going to be 2.3, 2.4, and maybe we'll just have 3 here. So you can see that as I add nested text, the text appears on the drawing, and if I move blocks around, like I'm moving number 3 around, you can see that that number is moving. So at this point I'm able to promote and demote items, and you can see it works as expected. Now, if I open up the drawing for editing, then you can see I have my numbers here, and I can do whatever I like. I can go ahead and move these numbers around. If I now close editing, then I can see that I first of all didn't select number 1, so I just moved these numbers. But what I want to show you is if I now move a block around, the picture doesn't change, and that is because once you've positioned the items, I don't know where you've positioned them, so I need to be I need to keep them fixed. However, if I change 2 into maybe 55 or whatever, you can see 55 appeared on the picture. Also, if I come in here and I add text, let's say this is a test, I'm adding this text, then if I close the drawing, then this text appears at the bottom of the list. I can freely move this up, so if this should be actually nested under number 1, that's okay. This will stay linked, and if I add whatever change, you can see I added the dash, and the dash appears on the picture. What this doesn't support at the moment is you cannot place block references here. Those will not work. However, you can of course copy the reference to these blocks and reference it in your document, and that way you can simply reference items on your drawing. Future plans include support for block references, as well as I see an opportunity to take this outlining feature further and actually build a basic mind map, and then once you've created your outline, which is the basis of your mind map, you can open it up and change, edit, decorate it as you like. So that's about nested text, which is I think the key change in this version. The other change you have probably already spotted. So here on the picture, I no longer have the header with the title, with the buttons. Instead, if I move my mouse over here, I see the pen icon, which I can use to open the drawing for editing. I'll now switch to dark mode. And here in the top right corner, I have an X, which I need to press to close the drawing. The drawing is saved automatically, so you don't need to worry about it. Every time you make a change, when you finish that change, your drawing is saved, so you don't need to close it and reopen it to make sure it's saved. And I think the next item on my list here are the settings. So I've added a whole bunch of settings. You can see the settings here. I have a detailed description here, which I'll post on the Excalidraw Roam website. Let me just walk you through what these settings are. So the full screen margin, you saw that when I was editing this drawing, it took up the entire screen. If I add the default value here, which is 0.15, if I now open up the drawing for editing, you can see that there's a margin around the drawing area, and this just gives you the feeling that you are indeed within Roam. You can, if you change this value to 0, then that is going to make it full screen. The image can be an SVG, which is a vector graphic, or the other valid value here is PNG. I'm not going to change it now, but if you would rather have a PNG, you can change it to that. The maximum embed width and height control the sizing of this picture, and this will ensure that if you have a tall picture, it will not be extremely large. So if you draw a skyscraper, that will also fit nice, as well as, so let me just show you this. If now I make myself a bit of a skyscraper type of drawing, so this is now on top of one another, so you can see this is scaled to maximum height. And if I would now change this picture and make it a very wide picture, then you can see that the picture is positioned such that it takes up the maximum width, which you can set here. The mode is now dark. It actually changes if you change the picture here. So if I now change this to light, you will see, especially if I can get this out of the way, you will see that here it changed back to light as well. And this is actually a default value. When you create your next drawing, it will be light or dark. And the nested text descriptions or settings, these control how the nested text is created. What you see here is if I have 20 rows, where actually in this case it's now set to 10 rows, but the default value is 20. After I have 20 rows of text, a new column will be started on the picture, so the numbers don't get teeny tiny. The distance between columns is controlled by the column width number. The top and left specify the top left position of where the text gets created. In the shipped version, this value is set to 320 to ensure that this menu, when I have multiple select, you can see this panel is quite wide, and 320 takes me to right just to the side of it, so it doesn't cover up the numbers. The font family and font size is a default 20. The font family, the valid values are 1, 2 or 3. These are the 3 default fonts in Excalidraw. So this is the hand drawn, the normal and the code type of fonts. And then finally, let me just close this and talk a bit about the fixes. So I have 2 basic fixes. One is now you can block reference a drawing. So if I take this drawing, I copy the block reference, and I maybe come to this other day, I paste the reference appears. It is as expected, but it was a bug previously, and Ctrl Z will work as a normal undo. So if I press Ctrl Z, it will undo my last move or my last moves. So that summarizes what the new Excalidraw plugin does. I hope you enjoy it, and if you have any suggestions for improvements or new feature requests, please post them on GitHub. You'll find the link for that on the Roam-Excalidraw changelog. Thank you.